Hello everyone, Anita here and welcome to week 3 of the 52-week illustration challenge. The theme for this week is Themepark, and as you can see I have my sketch already laid down and I'm jumping straight into painting in this video. So this week I've decided to, challenge myself a little bit more. After all, that's what it's, what it's about. And I've actually switched my paper, my regular nice hot pressed watercolor paper, to this mixed media paper that I had just laying around. And I will actually post a list of all the items I'm using, all the supplies, in the description below. So if you have any questions, just go there first. And I'm also using a completely different brush. This is a new brush I bought this week, and I just liked the way it looked, so I wanted to try it. And it's really big and fluffy, and I totally don't know how to use it, so that's another thing. And I'm also using a different paint because this pink and the blue are actually liquid watercolors called Ecoline. It's a Dutch brand. From Dutch product actually, from the company Talens, Royal Talens. And anyway, it's a really nice paint. It comes in little jars, and it's pre-mixed, so you get a range of colors and you can just use it straight from the jar, which is what I've done here. And it's really nice. It lays really nice and flat, and kind of stains the paper as well. It worked really nice on this paper. I was really happy. Because the watercolor, I had a little bit of a problem. As you can see, I'm using a very, very thin layer of yellow. And the reason it's so thin is because this paper does not take watercolor that well, at least not as well as, of course, watercolor paper. So I had to, it was kind of a, trial and error process. As you can see here, I'm already a little bit more brave. But I'm still struggling. It's kind of lifting. The yellow was lifting extremely much from the layer underneath. So I'm trying to blend it in, and also the brush is not helping because I don't know how to use it. So I'm just doing my best, and I know I'll be adding new layers on top, so it's not that big of a deal. I really like this color combination, so it's been really, really great. This past few weeks actually, and I really, really want to have it to be spring. I just really want spring to come. So these colors, the pink and the yellow and the bright colors, have made me so happy. They're so happy colors. Then see, I'm adding another layer. I always dry the layer underneath. I never show it to you, but I always dry the layers in between. With my heat gun, so that the layer underneath is always dry. I never lay wet on wet. So as you can see now, the yellow is starting to kind of become more visible. So I've decided, okay, I'm gonna switch the color for something else, and I'm gonna come back to it later. So here I'm adding another layer of pink because I thought, this is not as vibrant as I wanted it to be. In my head, this idea was really, really pastel, but vibrant pastel, if that makes sense. So really nice and warm colors, and that was not it yet. So I just keep adding thin layers and drying them in between. So as I said, the theme for this week is Themepark, and I was struggling a little bit. I always want to have kind of a story going on in my picture, and I couldn't really think of anything memorable, anything worth painting, if that makes sense. The only thing that came to my mind was the Dutch theme park, actually the only theme park I've ever been to. And it's called Efteling, and it's this fairy tale theme park with a very, very fairy tale setting. But I don't know, it was, that was the first thing that came to my mind, but I couldn't really set any story behind it. So I just kept, I don't even remember how this idea just appeared. It's just one time it was there. At one moment I was doing something else and all of a sudden it popped in my head, this idea of a girl dreaming about, oh my god, wait, I know what it was. It's because I dreamed about spring. That's why I wanted to make, oh my god, now it makes sense. So yeah, that actually makes more sense now, because I've been really thinking a lot about spring lately and how much I want it to be nice and bright. And I was actually thinking about that I want to go to Efteling in the spring. And that's where the idea appeared of this girl just, thinking about going to a theme park. And okay, at least we have that settled. So yeah, that's the basic idea. I just really wanted to, there is like a roller coaster behind, but because most of it will be added in the end, it's not really visible, but it kind of wraps itself around the Ferris wheel, and the balloons are coming from from the middle of it. And I really wanted to make those different shaped balloons. I've never ever seen these in real life, that's why I probably wanted to paint them. Wouldn't it be really nice to see those kind of balloons once? I mean, I would really like to. I sometimes see them here in Holland. I've never seen them in Poland, like balloons from up close. But here it's very popular, the balloon trips, so you can see a lot of them sometimes they even fly just above your head. One time we're sitting in the garden, the backyard, and all of a sudden there was this huge balloon just flying above us, and that was very unique. So I'm adding those layers of colors because the paint is not really cooperating on this paper that well. I'm trying to it doesn't want to mix very well, if that makes sense. So I'm just basically adding one patch at a time, drawing, and then adding another patch on top of it. It looked pretty well. It wasn't the easiest way to do it probably, but it worked fine in the end. It looked the way I wanted it to look, so I'm really not feeling bad about using this paper. I will use it more often. It has a really nice smooth vellum surface, so everything looked really neat, like really professional even. And when you see the final picture, it's really, I don't know, it looks almost like it's printed instead of drawn or painted actually. So I'm adding different shades of orange and a little bit of that same pink just on top of just glazing it, just to give a little bit of dimension to that orange orange balloon. How cool would that be? I would like to see that one day. I was really happy with how the girl turned out. She is so adorable, it's so plumpy. She seems like so soft, like she's made of plush or something. And the hair is just so... I always wanted to have this kind of hair, like very voluminous, very plump, very just... it's really, really cool. But of course, my hair is really limp and with random colors, so that's probably why I draw a lot of those girls with very fluffy hair, because I always wanted to have fluffy hair. And this is definitely, a way to go here. I really, really like it. I surprised myself because I didn't add that much detail. Okay, bear with me. I didn't add that much detail in shading as I would normally do. So there's actually just, these are mostly flat colors. And I'm pretty happy. I actually will try to kind of maybe experiment a little bit more with just using flat colors. I also want to experiment maybe in next videos with using different style, because so far I have a very distinct one style that I can see, and I don't really draw in any other style, and I want to change that. You have to be flexible if you want to be an illustrator, I think. So I'm just adding flat layers of color, and because of that basic layer, the blue layer, every color is tinted, so they get different hues, and they kind of really look like they belong on top of that layer. And so I don't really have to do much. I'm just filling in just flat layers of color. And I would like to mention here, before anybody comments anything about it, yes, I know, what the hell is going on with that hand? Can you believe that? Oh my god. I was, actually when I was drawing it, the whole, if you really don't see it, if you don't look at that hand that she has under her chin, or mouth, or whatever, you don't really notice it, because the whole, if you look at the whole of the picture, it's a nice shape, and that's what I was looking at. The whole picture had to have a nice balanced shape. And then when I was already lining it, so I couldn't really change anything anymore, I was using the fine liners, and I've noticed the hand. What kind of angle is this hand on? I can't even wrap my head around this. It looks like it's broken. It's so funny. But it doesn't really bother me. And just I've noticed it, and I felt really embarrassed for a few minutes, and then I was like, yeah, whatever. It makes for, the composition pleases me, so it's fine. Here I'm adding different colored foreground books. They won't be really detailed or anything, they're just to kind of indicate that the person was, the character was or studying, maybe reading, maybe working on something, and just to add something extra to the picture, some base to the picture. Also, it works really nice as a contrast from the fluffy clouds. You have the really nice, colorful imagination, the dreams that are above the character, and then you have those very darker, toned down books at the bottom. That's why as you can see, I'm kind of darkening some of the books, because I felt they were not, they were too vibrant. No, but I needed some more contrast, some darker colors. And this is also when I noticed that I wasn't painting completely in the frame once everything was almost done, but it didn't really miss anything, just the edges of the books. And here I'm starting to work a little bit on the surface that she's sleeping on. I set in my mind that it's a desk or a table, whatever. At first it was supposed to be a couch, she was working at the edge of a couch. But then I thought, where would the books be standing then? It doesn't make any sense. So it turned to be a desk, and there's papers spread around. I'm trying to add a little bit of a color to it, and what I'm doing here is I'm mixing actual white gouache with just a tiny little bit of watercolor, just to add a little bit of opaque tints over the blue, so that it's not just brown or washed out brown watercolor, but that it has some base to it, some tooth, so that it kind of lays more opaque and covers the blue. And it worked out pretty nice. For example, here I'm adding just a regular brown. This is actually the Ecoline. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Ecoline, I think that's how Dutch pronounce it. I'm just adding it straight from the jar and on top of the paper, and it's translucent. In contrast with what I did with the gouache just now on the paper. So as you can see, this would be way too dark. So I'm just feathering that table a bit out, because it's all covered on she's surrounded by more like clouds, like she's dreaming, with her head in the clouds. And here I have no idea what I was thinking, but I really like to add wood grain on top when I'm drawing wood, but I usually don't do it because it just takes so much time and it looks really messy. But I started I didn't really think about it, and I just started doing it. I normally do it in sketches, much less in actual paintings. But I couldn't just add one piece of texture or pattern and just leave it. So I had to add it over the whole surface. And luckily, it kind of pulled together, and you can read it. Your eye reads it as a one surface. It's luckily, because I was really afraid. I really panicked at one point because I was thinking that it would be too dark, and I wanted this picture to have this dreamy kind of feeling. And here I'm adding the Yeti mug. I would like to have my own Yeti mug, I'm not gonna lie. And some chocolate chip cookies. And for the little star on top of the pen, I did the exact same thing as with the paper. I just mixed a little bit of yellow with white gouache, and it made the yellow pop a little bit more. It turns into, of course, a pastel color, but it's a really good, like a cheaty way of getting some lighter colors on darker surfaces. Just adding lots of details, some freckles. I was really excited about the freckles on her. That was so cute. This was the most fun part of the whole painting. I'm just adding a lot of lighter and a bit darker, just circles, just for the dreamy pattern in the background, just to make it more interesting, a bit more vibrant. And I had so much fun. There's no really rhyme or reason to it. I was just adding circles, kind of changing the colors, trying for the ombre effect. So I would use a little bit of pink over here, but in a little bit I will mix that pink. I think so, at least. I remember doing it. What happened? Okay, I'm adding more yellow, a bit darker yellow this time. What happened to the orange? Okay. Phew. I'm actually adding orange now. I totally knew it was coming. I'm adding just orange just to blend it with the pink and the yellow. And I really wanted to kind of like create this ombre effect, kind of like it's the only painting I've done so far that actually looks like a rainbow. In the end, you'll see what I mean in just a bit. And here I'm actually adding the white gouache as well, just to make it even lighter and more opaque, and I'm layering on top of those circles I made before. And because this thing will dry just a little bit darker, so it will pop. And here I'm actually mixing the two colors I have over here, and it created, instead of a nice purple, it created this really weird gray color. So I just wiped it and used straight blue. And because it's translucent and I'm layering on top of the pink, it kind of blends into the purple, so it came fine. As you can see, the ombre effect, the gradient is a little bit more visible right now. And I'm just adding last blue circles, just straight blue, straight from the bottle, between the clouds. Just kind of trying to set some darker background for the white that's supposed to come, because the clouds are of course white. So I needed to kind of darken it a little bit before I start adding the white. here, as you can see, I finished the watercolor part and added a little bit of soft pastel just to make the edges a bit more vibrant. And I'm jumping straight into colored pencils just to regain a little bit of the vibrance that was lost because of the blue layer. Now, if you layer a blue color underneath the watercolor, it will automatically dull every color that you're going to put on top. And because I do it so often, I come back a lot with watercolor pencils, and while I add details, I will also add a little bit of the color just to kind of highlight. I think about it as a highlight, and I add the, as here with the hair or with the cheeks, a little bit of shadow as well, just to bring out a little bit more of the shape. And I surprised myself because I'm actually not using that much of a Copic marker. The W3 that I use usually, I didn't use it at all. I used a really washed out, almost dried out a cold one, C1 Copic marker, and just in a few little spots. Here, excuse me for the, it got really sunny all of a sudden, the last second of the day, just before sunset. And I'm just fixing the cat balloon with colored pencil, just evening out the colors that kind of got messed up with the painting. And actually, there wasn't that much to be done. I was pretty happy with how the colors acted on top of the pink and the yellow. It was just that blue that needed some fixing, and here I've added a little bit of yellow because I wasn't happy with how flat the orange looked like. So, and here I'm actually adding the white, and there was quite a lot of white, and I kept adding it after I actually finished recording. So not everything is recorded, but that's just because it was a bit of a trial and error as well. I just kept walking away and coming back and adding more details. But here I'm actually adding a first layer of the clouds. And I usually add my white gouache with in two layers. The first one is to just kind of introduce the white. It kind of mixes here with the soft pastel as well, so it turns into a little bit of the color that's underneath. And then on top of that, after the first layer dries, I'm going to add another layer of gouache, of the same white gouache, just to bring out some of the areas, highlight the white. And here I'm actually coming to paint the roller coaster. It's not really a real roller coaster, it's an idea of it. And it's on white supports. And I wasn't really sure, the idea I had is that it was kind of cascading, almost looking like water. And so I wanted to use white to kind of make it seem like it's dripping, but it wasn't vibrant enough. I'm not exactly sure what's happening with my white gouache recently, but I feel like it's not as nice as it used to be. I will have to look into getting some new brand. But it was also a good thing because here I could just map out where the excuse me, my cat is meowing. Where the poles would go. And then once I've decided that the white was not white enough, I came back with my gel pen, which was extra juicy because I just got it, just got a new one. And I came back and I just drew the lines again on top of the gouache and kind of made it little dots and dashes, and just to make it look a little bit like glass. I don't know, I just really like the effect. It's, after all, a dream. It's nothing really stable. It's just supposed to be an idea. And I've started to outline. I wasn't planning on doing that, but once I started, as you can see, I've added a lot of white details actually after I finished the painting. And the reason for that was because, like I said, I would just walk away and come back and I'll be, oh, this needs a little bit more like a pop. and I would add a little bit of more white just to outline it. And then I would come back and add little clouds here and there, and just those little details that would make, in my head, it made the whole painting look a little bit more dreamy. So if you actually want to see the full painting, please head to my Facebook or to the actual 52 weeks illustration challenge website, Facebook group, not website, but just go there and you can then see the big picture and take a look at the details. And I will see you next week in another video. Bye!